I'm here to teach you about the nerve. So first off, there are two parts to the nervous system. You have the central nervous system, which is the brain, the big brain, and then you've got the spinal column, right? Then you've got the peripheral nervous system, or PNS, which is just the nerve. Right, and nerves can be found anywhere in the body. If you can feel from there, it's a nerve, right? Plus, as much as I joke about that image, that is an accurate recreation of what the actual nervous system looks like. It is ugly as hell and abhorrent to look at, but that is inside of you. Then you've got three forms of neurons. You've got sensory, you've got relay, and you have motor, right? There are only those three types, and they each have different purposes, right? So the sensory neuron just detects the messages, and it sends them to your brain or your spine or whatever. There is a obnoxiously loud car driving past. Okay, so so it just sends the signals saying, hey bud, pal, you gotta move. Say, well, if you just want to do something, or you get shanked, you should probably move. Then you've got the motor, which is the actual nerve which pulls your arm away. Right. So if you want an example of like that happening, here it is. So here, if I just break it down, my massive pulsating brain here is telling me to just act a little groovy, have a little boogie, right? And it just sends the electrical impulses from my brain and all the chemical signals to the sensory, or through sensory neurons and through the synapses with the neurotransmitters and all that fancy jazz, and basically just tells the motor neurons to act a little groovy, be a little wacky, have a little dance, right? So just like, I'm gonna listen, and then I end up rickrolling you. Okay, so that clip which I just shown you then of me acting a little groovy, that would be an example of voluntary movement, because my brain told me to do it. It wasn't a case of just, oh, alright, time to dance, right? That's not what happened. I consciously made the decision to boogie down. It wasn't automatic, right? So the other form would be involuntary, where, with the example before, a needle, or one which I much prefer, which I'll be showing you now.
And I love cheese. Ah!
Did you catch that? I'll slow it down for you. Okay, so if you're wondering about like the random time jump, I'm making this clip like a day after I send it off to Magdalena for checking, because I realised there's another really good example of involuntary action, and that would be... Okay, so him like flinching and moving his head away, that would be an example of involuntary movement, right? He wasn't just sat there and just like, okay, I'm gonna flinch. No, he just does it, right? So this whole thing can be like broken down into something called a reflex arc, right? So straight off the bat we have the stimulus being the block of cheese aimed directly for his skull, right? And then you've got the sensory organ being the skin. The skin detects the stimulus and starts sending chemical signals and electrical impulses to the spinal column, not the brain. The brain does literally nothing in this, right? Nothing. Not involved. So the brain, or not the brain, the spinal column contains relay neurons, which connect the sensory and the motor neurons to tell them to move. So the chemical signals are sent through the sensory neurons back out to the motor neurons, which move his head out of the way. Even though he didn't actually do it in time and he still gets hit in the head. But, right, so once they reach the spinal column, the relay neurons send back signals back to the motor neurons, which just tell the effectors, or the muscles, to move, to flinch, get out of the way, right? That's an example of a reflex arc, but why does it actually exist? Pretty obvious. If we didn't move after like getting stabbed, chances are we wouldn't still be like at the top of the food chain like we are. We would be extinct. We would not exist anymore. No? We wouldn't be able to reproduce. We'd be cringe. That's just like a really, really, very simple breakdown of the nervous system, right? I just hope this is memorable and some people here pay attention and listen. But who knows? Might end up making more of these if you enjoy them. See ya, losers.